Welcome to this module on Biblical Hebrew nouns. If you played 20 questions, people, place, or thing, those are nouns. So, as we talked about in the video, in Hebrew, whether it's Biblical Hebrew, Mishnaic Hebrew, or Modern Hebrew, every single noun is assigned a gender. And as opposed to some other languages that have a neutral, every single noun is either placed in a feminine category or a masculine category. Now, there are a lot of words that we can kind of assume we know what category they go into. And so, for example, we have words like woman and wife and girl, and these are assigned into the feminine category of nouns. And likewise for the masculine, man, husband, boy. When you encounter these words in Hebrew, they are going to express themselves in the masculine form. But there are also a number of words, and actually most of the nouns that we'll encounter in Hebrew, that are not obviously masculine or feminine. And so, for example, the word stone is feminine in Hebrew, as is the word hand. But trying to assume or come up with some kind of explanation for why stone would be feminine, for example, is not always easy. And the same case, a few examples here in the masculine. The Hebrew word for voice, kol, in Hebrew is assigned to the masculine, as is the word name, Shem. And we can try coming up and droshing why the word voice might be masculine and why the word stone might be feminine. But to a great extent, we don't know how these got assigned as they are. So today we're going to focus on feminine nouns, what they look like, how you can identify them, both in the singular and in the plural. So, feminine nouns usually have the final word marking, the final letter, hey. So for those of you who are not yet familiar with all the letters of the alphabet, I've provided it here in transliteration. But in most cases, a feminine noun will have a hey at the end. So we've got two examples here, very common words. Isha, which means woman. Notice the hey at the end of the word, marking it as a feminine noun. Another common word, mishpacha, for family. Notice again, it has the hey at the end, marking it as a feminine noun. Now, in some cases, instead of a hey, we will have a taf as the last letter in the word. And so, for example, malchut, meaning kingship, while kingship is masculine concept, because there is a taf at the end of the word, this is technically a feminine noun. So what does it mean that it's a feminine noun, even if the concept is masculine? It means that when we attach malchut to adjectives and to verbs, those will always be in the feminine to be in agreement with the feminine malchut. And the same goes for emet, truth. The taf at the end marks this as a feminine noun. Now, of course, there are always exceptions to the rules, but the good news in this case is that there aren't many exceptions. And so we have words here like eretz, which means land, cherev, meaning sword, and yad, meaning hand. And these are all feminines, but they don't have the final hey or the final taf marker. So the only way to know that these are feminines is by really memorizing these words. And the good news is, don't let these exceptions stress you out. There aren't that many of them. In fact, there are really only a handful of very common words that are feminine that don't have a hey or a taf. And so you'll be able to access a list of these common words. And because you encounter them so often, it shouldn't be too difficult to remember after seeing these words a number of times that they are feminine. Now, if you want to take a feminine noun and make it a plural, what you're going to do is drop out the hey or the taf from the end of the word and add ot, the vav and the taf, pronounced as ot. So ot is the feminine plural marker. So in this example, we have the word mishpacha with a hey at the end. Our first step is to get rid of the hey, and then our next step is to add ot at the end. So mishpacha is a family, mishpachot, our families. And here are some additional examples. Behema, which is a beasts or animals, in the plural becomes behemot. Notice the ot. Mishpacha, as we saw before, becomes mishpechot. And na'ara, a young woman or a maiden, in the plural becomes ne'arot. The hey is dropped out and you see this ot. And in fact, there's only one other condition in Hebrew that creates this final ot, and it does not occur very often. So basically, when you're translating anything, if you come across a word that has ot at the end, you are likely dealing with a feminine plural noun.